important in the relationship. But on the first place, the importance of e-commerce is due by its disruptive power, because I tend to make a comparison between e-commerce and 5G. And to me, e-commerce is a revolution to the retailing market, the traditional retailing market, just the same way as 5G is a revolution to the digital economy, to ICT and the manufacturing in general. And before also in the presentation by Mr. Yang, we have already seen in numbers basically how important e-commerce is for the economy. It's a huge driver for growth, it's a huge driver for consumption, and now we all know in China that China is trying to change its model of development from being investment-led, export-led to consumption-focused. And e-commerce is really what is making this possible. We have seen really Alibaba, it is that through the platform of Alibaba, basically Jack Ma has been able to really, as it was mentioned before, to turn e-commerce not just in a new way to shop, just in an alternative way to shop, but in a real new lifestyle. So now everybody in China, not everybody, I mean, there is still obviously potential to exploit, but there is a lot of people who daily go on Tmall, on other platforms. There is also Jihuasuan is another platform of Alibaba for group buying. There is obviously also C2C through Taobao. And what is interesting about the Chinese experience is that they really managed to converge. It's an ecosystem. It's not just e-commerce. It's not just a platform to buy, but it's an ecosystem. It's a convergence between internet, so search engine, social media, of course, big data, and logistics. Logistics is much more actually developed there than here. The system is just so much faster, so much cheaper. You get things within hours, and that's what really consumers in China are used to now. Within hours, you get things delivered at home.
Yeah.
In the whole country,
even Saturday or Sunday.
In the whole country, China, within the whole country, in one day you get the things. And maybe in Europe, it's not what we see, because in Europe, maybe you deliver something and then you forgot, and next week something arrives in your home and you forgot you ordered it.
Yeah.
And the third element is e-payment,
Yeah.
so finance. And also in e-payment, China is much developed.
Yeah.
So we have WeChat, which, well, in Chinese, many people say it's the WhatsApp of China, though, let's say, from being only a social media, actually developed much ahead, and now they're doing a lot through the e-payment systems. So we have WeChat, WePay. Basically, through WeChat with the QR code, you can do everything. You don't need to go to another platform. You don't need to download another application. Most of the obstacles I see in further developing this relationship is the same obstacles that we see within Europe to create a digital single market for e-commerce. So obviously, it's different countries, so we have different legislation in place. So different liabilities for providers, different e-privacy, data protection laws, and different tax policies. And then there are some issues which are specific in the EU-China relationship. I mean, first of all, on tax policy, which is also true within Europe, is even more evident in the EU-China case, because, well, apart from that, the regimes might be even more different, but also China is now drafting a new tax policy for e-commerce, which will introduce some new taxes which before did not exist, and also some import for certain conditions. Then we have what I think is really the crucial aspects in particular is, first of all, the e-payment interoperability, because we said, for example, before I mentioned WeChat to WeChat Pay or Alipay for Alibaba are excellent systems to boost e-commerce, but cannot be used by foreigners with foreign credit cards. So the Weixin, the China WeChat is one thing, and the international WeChat is another thing. So we don't have the same functions, basically. And so these has to be... So, and another thing is also ICT infrastructure, because of course in China, we mentioned before, there are like 700 million internet users, but there is another 50% of people which are unconnected, and China is almost 1.4 billion people. So that means there is another 700 million almost people who are not connected, and if you do manage to obviously increase the network connectivity in China, then you have more people going online, more people also maybe shop online. So what are the solutions would be to, first of all, try to harmonize all these different legislations, so the same effort we are doing here in Europe, but not just within Europe, Europe and China. And that would be also facilitate, obviously, also the interoperability of e-payments, further invest in infrastructure. And ChinaEu is actually taking a first initial step to try to boost this. And that is the setup of the first ChinaEu Digital Research Center. This is an effort done jointly with the Internet Foundation for Internet in China. And will be actually launched very soon in the next couple of months here in Brussels, but also in Beijing. And this will be a first effort to monitor all legislation in place and also try to create comparisons and ultimately to harmonize legislation. And this is also an effort which somehow is in line with what Jack Ma is proposing within the framework of the B20. So the business group basically giving recommendation to the G20, which this year is in China. And it's important because it's a platform there at global level which has the very, very similar objectives. So we are in line with this effort.